If you're someone who's interested in research, maybe you're a student who's thinking about the premise of your thesis or writing your dissertation, then you need to acknowledge what your positionality is. This is more apparent for the social sciences than the formal sciences. However, I think it should be something that we talk about more openly in the more formal sciences, such as biology, chemistry, and physics, as well as in the social sciences, such as education. Now, one of the key things here is what is it? Now, your positionality is your beliefs, your opinions based on your experiences. It's an acknowledgement of potential biases that you might have. So, for example, my positionality is I'm neurodiverse, I have dyspraxia, I'm a first generation student, and I'm from a working class background. And as a result, a lot of this has shaped my personal experiences. As well as my old profession, I used to teach, and as a result, I used to work with a lot of students from various different backgrounds, and particularly within education, this has shaped my experience, my narrative when I'm working with students and interviewing students and trying to look for different ways that they interact with the world. And that particularly has an effect on the way I conducted my research project. It needs to be acknowledged. Now, we have to also acknowledge that there needs to be a point of acknowledgement within the more formal sciences as well, because when we select various different individuals to sample, particularly if we're working with human studies, particularly in medicine, we need to think about why we're sampling in a particular way, why we're doing the particular protocol that we're planning on, and how is that going to affect the population as a whole, or is it only going to be targeted? And as a result, not just how can that work affect the research itself, but how could that research be potentially applied in wider spheres of influence? And we need to be responsible for that. And this is where the acknowledgements, the positionality needs to be talked about more, because we know particularly from previous studies where they've looked at very small populations or a very targeted sample, that this can have ramifications for research, and we know this can have wider consequences in various different spheres of social influence. And this is where we have to take this into account as scientists and where we need to work to be better. And this is something that I want you to think about. What is your positionality? What is your background? What do you need to acknowledge within your research, and how are you going to go about doing that? Now, part of that you can also look at mind mapping what the different spheres of your own identity are, your own influence, and how that's shaped who you are as a researcher and as a professional. And it's something that I would encourage you to do at the start of writing your dissertation or your thesis. If you have any further questions about education research or research in general, then please drop a comment. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for listening.